Tropical storm Verbena is bringing strong winds and heavy rains to northern Palawan as it heads out of the country. Lynette de la Cruz Fortunado on the line with an update. Lynette.
Carmina's strong winds and heavy rains brought by tropical storm Verbena hit the Cuyo Islands in Palawan on Monday afternoon. According to residents, Verbena caused heavy rains and strong winds for more than an hour, raising fears since many have not fully recovered and some remain traumatized by Typhoon Pino, which struck the islands earlier in November. Some residents, especially those in coastal areas, have evacuated and classes were suspended. Aside from the Cuyo Islands, residents of Linapacan, Palawan did not expect severe effects from the tropical storm. They thought it would not be very strong, but they compared its intensity to Typhoon Pino as it destroyed houses. Many boats sank and the roofs of the houses and schools were also damaged. Verbena intensifies as it moves away from Palawan and is now in the West Philippine Sea. However, residents were reminded to be cautious of sudden gusts of wind and approaching the shore or going to areas with high waves. Back to you, Carmina.
Thanks a lot, Lynette de la Cruz Fortunado there. The Cagayan River in Tuguegarao City has reached critical level due to non-stop rains. Harris Julio on the line to tell us more. Harris.
Yes, Carmina, the water level of the Cagayan River in Tuguegarao City, Cagayan is rising rapidly. Data show that the river has surpassed the critical level of 9 meters. As of around 11 a.m. today, November 26, 2025, the Cagayan River is already at 9.2 meters. At this level, widespread flooding is expected in the city. Earlier, several houses located in low-lying areas along riverbank in Lower Bonifacio Street of Barangay Centro 1 were already inundated. Affected residents have temporarily moved to higher ground. A bridge and 8 roads in the city are now impassable. In a video shared by the Tuguegarao City Information Office, water can be seen slowly entering Pinakanawan Avenue in the Gunakaw, Katagaman area. Tuguegarao City is considered a catch basin or an area where water from nearby provinces flows down. Meanwhile, the Itaoes Bridge in the town of Tuao is also impassable due to the swollen river. Over in Peña Blanca, a portion of the road in Zone 4, Barangay Cabo, has been damaged because of continuous rains brought by the shear line. In a photo shared by resident Ryan Paul Bilquera, cracks can be seen forming as parts of the road have sunk. According to the Peña Blanca MDRMO, the road is temporarily closed due to potential danger. Motorists may take alternative routes such as Namambalan, Tuguegarao City via Barangay Baliwag or through Barangay San Roque, Peña Blanca. That's the latest here. Back to you, Carmina.
Thanks a lot. Harris Julia there joining us on the line. The passport of fugitive former Congressman Zaldy Co set to be canceled soon. That's according to Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla, but he notes they have information Co is in possession of a European golden visa passport. Co is believed to have traveled to at least 6 countries since February, including the U.S., France, Spain, Portugal, Singapore, and Japan. Remulla warns it will be nearly impossible to catch Co if he stays in countries that do not have an extradition treaty with the Philippines.
Oh, it'll be impossible if he stays in Russia.
Really? Like
Russia and China are almost impossible. Even J. Lo, who stole $5 billion from Malaysia, has not been captured. We believe he's in China. If the state refuses to cooperate, then there is nothing we can do. We cannot send a team there to extract him. That would be in violation of the sovereign laws of that country. So it is a matter of the international community coming together, recognizing treaties that they all have signed, and turning them over. In the matter of these 4 countries that we have mentioned, China, Portugal, Malaysia, and Russia, they have not signed a treaty with us in terms of that.
Ko is among 16 individuals implicated in the flood control controversy in Oriental Mindoro. Authorities on Tuesday arrested a 9th DPWH official implicated in that case. Engineer Montrexis Tamayo, the OIC chief of the Planning and Design Division, appeared at the anti-graft court for processing this morning. Remulla says 2 officials of SunWest Construction who are currently abroad have already coordinated with authorities. The secretary again issuing a warning to Ko and anyone who might be helping him.
Zaldico is a poor man with a lot of money. He has all the money in the world, but none of it buys him his freedom or buys him his happiness or buys him his comfort. If I were him, I would return back to the Philippines, face the charges. He says, and he claims that he is innocent. Come home, notarize your statement, give your formal request, give your formal statement in court, and we will give you your day in court. What I would warn them against, it is aiding and abetting a fugitive, it is obstruction of justice, and they will be charged in court if we find him and they are in the presence of Zaldico. He is a wanted criminal. He is a fugitive. He is wanted by the state.
Government freezes the assets of 2 more officials tagged in the flood control mess. The Anti-Money Laundering Council says the freeze order covers the assets of a sitting official of a constitutional body as well as those of a former politician. The latest freeze order covering 230 bank accounts, including air assets valued at nearly 4 billion pesos. The AMLC's latest move brings to over 3,500 the bank accounts of personalities frozen due to their links to the corruption scandal. In all, the agency says total value of these assets, which include vehicles and real estate, are now at 11 billion pesos. The Makabayan bloc in the lower house has formally asked the Independent Commission for Infrastructure to probe claims of massive budget insertions and kickbacks in this year's national budget, allegedly involving President Marcos. Andrea Taguina is on the line with details. Andy, what more can you tell us?
Carmina, the Makabayan bloc challenged the Independent Commission for Infrastructure to really prove its independence now that recent revelations regarding the flood control issue point that Malacanang is supposedly at the center of the illegal insertions and payment of kickbacks in the 2025 national budget. The lawmakers filed a written request and submitted this to the ICI earlier today, urging it to investigate the claims of former House Committee on Appropriations Chairperson Elizalde Co and former Public Works Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo, directly linking President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. himself and former Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin to the issue. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino said that while Zaldico is still at large right now, the ICI should immediately summon Public Works and Highways Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo, former ES Lucas Bersamin, former Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman, former DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan, former Presidential Legislative Liaison Office Undersecretary Adrian Bersamin, former House Speaker Martin Romualdez, and Representative Sandro Marcos, former DepEd Undersecretary Traigiv Olayvar, and Justice Undersecretary Jose Cadiz Jr. to further look into the chief executive's involvement in all of this, instead of just accepting the conclusion or theory of Senator Panfilo Lacson that these deputy officials merely name-dropped President Marcos Jr.'s name when carrying out these corrupt operations. And when these officials do face the ICI, the Makabayan bloc said the information they reveal should not be gatekept. They urge the ICI to live stream all its proceedings and lift all restrictive guidelines that impede public and media access to information. Kabataan Party List Representative Rene Co said that the ICI should review its live streaming guidelines after several lawmakers who came in for hearings these past few days, including those who attended today, like Quezon 3rd District Representative Reynante Arrogancia, requested for an executive session, effectively barring the media from covering the hearings without a clear reason why. She said if this will be their policy, if they ask for the consent of every resource person, then everyone would just request for an executive session. So far, that's the latest here at the ICI. We're still waiting for the ICI officials to hold a press briefing later about another case referral it will submit to the Office of the Ombudsman later this afternoon. So we'll be watching out for that, particularly the new names or personalities who will be implicated in this flood control issue. Carmina?
Thanks a lot. Andrea Taguin is there joining us on the House Appropriations Committee Chairperson. Micaela Suwansing denies the claim of former colleague Zaldi Co of billions of pesos in insertions in the 2026 National Expenditure Program. Vivian Gulia on the line now to tell us more. Viv.
Hi, Carmina. House Committee on Appropriations Chairperson Micaela Suwansing disputed earlier today the claim of her predecessor, former House Committee on Appropriations Chairperson Zaldi Co, and asserted that there are no insertions in the 2026 National Expenditure Program. In a video on his social media page on Tuesday, Co alleged that the president ordered insertions in the 2026 NEP, or the Executive's National Budget Proposal for next year, which supposedly totaled 97 billion pesos. He claimed that these insertions include flood control projects. But Suwansing said there can technically be no insertions by the president in a budget the executive prepared. She also gave assurances that the proposed 2026 national budget, approved by the House of Representatives on third and final reading, does not carry new allocations for locally funded flood control projects. Suwansing meanwhile said the public will be able to monitor developments and possible changes in the proposed budget even during the bicameral conference committee level because their meetings will be live streamed. The House Appropriations Committee chairperson has been coordinating with her counterpart in the Senate to tackle the rules for the open BICAM meetings on the disagreeing provisions of the House and the Senate versions of the 2026 national budget. Suwansing expects the BICAM meeting to be scheduled around the second week of December. Carmina, back to you.
Thanks a lot. Vivian Gulia there joining us on the line. Former Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo bent on appealing her conviction for human trafficking. Michael Deliso on the line now with that story. Michael, over to you.
Hi, Carmina. The camp of ousted Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo will appeal the court's conviction for her qualified human trafficking case, a non-bailable offense that carries a heavy penalty under Philippine law. The ruling stemmed from charges linking Guo to alleged large-scale human trafficking operations connected to a Philippine offshore gaming operation hub in her town. The court sentenced Guo and her 7 co-accused to life imprisonment and fined them 2 million pesos in addition to monetary reparations for victims.
We are just protecting her rights as an accused, and at the same time, syempre, ano pa din naman, kung ano yung nararapat, ano yung rights pa din niya, and at the same time, kung ano rin yung mga necessary steps na gawin within the bounds of law. So definitely we will appeal naman the decision. Syempre malungkot, hindi naman but she's strong, she will fight.
Meanwhile, Attorney Jamila said the Pasig City Regional Trial Court Branch 167 is expected to release a resolution this week on the motion seeking to allow Guo to remain at the Pasig City Jail female dormitory instead of being transferred to the Correctional Institution for Women in Mandaluyong City. Jamila said the matter has been submitted for resolution, meaning the court will now decide based on the pleadings presented. The court earlier ordered Guo's transfer to the correctional following her conviction. However, before the transfer could be carried out, Guo's camp filed a motion asking that she be allowed to remain temporarily at the Pasig City Jail, citing concerns over her safety and security should she be moved to the National Women's Correctional Facility.
Yung safety niya, and at the same time, her preparedness, siya mismo, siya yung priority muna namin sa ngayon. So we'll just focus on her muna and her case.
Now the court allowed Guo to stay in her current detention facility pending the resolution of the motion. Carmina, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Michael Deliso there joining us on the line. Senator Risa Ontiveros, very satisfied with the results of the Senate's probe into Pogos and Alice Guo. Ontiveros spearheaded the Senate investigation that led to the discovery of Guo's ties to an illegal Pogo hub in Tarlac. The Senate probe also uncovered the alleged links of former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque to a Pogo hub in Pampanga.
This is the investigation in my work life so far na talagang nagbunga. It brought out a presidential directive against POGOs. The evidence na nagamit dito sa recent conviction of Alice Guo on qualified human trafficking, at naipanganak din niya yung kapapasa naming Anti-POGO Act. And of course, hindi pa laid to rest yung espionage angle na iniimbestiga dito kay Alice Guo.
Roque, who is also facing a human trafficking case over that POGO hub, has denied that he was arrested in the Netherlands. He insists he voluntarily cooperated with authorities and his removal from a flight was due to medical issues and security concerns. The Philippine government has canceled Roque's passport as well as that of his fellow fugitive, Cassandra Ong. But Roque claims the cancellation of his passport is still not final.
In-explain ko na meron pang motion for reconsideration yan, so hindi pa po yan final. At ang dahilan ng hukuman, maski hindi daw ako tumakas matapos masampa ang criminal information laban sa akin, no? Kinakailangan ako'y harapin nung nalaman ko na may kaso na. Sa aking motion for reconsideration, ang ididiin ko, ako'y wala sa Pilipinas dahil ako nga'y ginigipit at karapatan ko sa ilalim ng karapatan pantao na humingi ng asylum dito sa Netherlands.
And we have this piece of breaking news. The Commission on Elections, Political, Finance and Affairs Department has ruled that Senator Francis Escudero did not violate election laws when he received a campaign donation from a government contractor. Job Manahan on the line with details. Job, what was the reason for this? Go ahead.
Hi, Carmina. According to the Commission on Elections, contractor Lawrence Lubiano's campaign donation did not violate a provision of the Omnibus Election Code. I'm going to read a portion of the decision. It said, this office is also mindful on the allegation that respondent Lubiano may have been used indirectly by Senator Ruiz to contribute on the campaign coffers of respondent Escudero. However, the evidence on record does not establish such fact. No evidence gathered so far that would establish that he acted merely as an instrumentality or alter ego of the corporation to perpetrate fraud or commit any act prohibited under Section 95 of the Omnibus Election Code. This means, Carmina, that the COMELEC PFAD has so far found no evidence connecting or no evidence regarding any violations on the Section 95 of the Omnibus Election Code. It can be remembered that the COMELEC on September 11 launched the motu proprio inquiry. Article 11 of the Omnibus Election Code prohibits contributions from natural and judicial persons who hold contracts or subcontracts to supply government with goods or services or to perform construction. Right now, Carmina, we are waiting for COMELEC Commissioner Ray Bulay regarding the discussion on this decision. Carmina.
Thanks a lot, Job Manahan there joining us on the line. Well, several charges have been slapped against 14 members of a police anti-narcotics unit over a rape robbery case. We have more from Dennis Tatu.
Unshaken, unafraid, determined to fight for justice. This is the vow of an 18-year-old online seller identified only as alias Nena, who has accused 14 police officers from the PNP Drug Enforcement Group Special Operations Unit 4A of robbery and rape. On Tuesday morning, she went to the National Police Commission or NAPOLCOM and filed administrative charges against the officers.
Mike na ba si Nena?
For her protection, the media were allowed to interview her through an audio-only conversation.
I commend them. We will...
She narrated how the team leader, holding the rank of police lieutenant, allegedly raped her after a supposed bypass operation. On Saturday morning, police officers arrived at her home for a bypass operation targeting her boyfriend. According to her, the officers suddenly dragged her into a room while they searched the house. When they failed to locate their target, the victim was threatened with arrest. But she said the team leader had a different intention. After ordering his men out of the room, the assault allegedly happened.
Sinabi na po ng team leader na siya na daw po ang bahala sa akin. Doon po ay pinalabas na po ang mga kasama niya sa aking kwarto. And yung mga kasama niya po ay parang aware na po sila na may mangyayaring ganun po sa aming dalawa sa loob ng aking kwarto.
She added that several belongings were also stolen from the inside the house, including the motorcycle of her boyfriend.
May mga kinuha na po silang mga gamit katulad ng mga sapatos po ng aking boyfriend, mga gamit po, alkansya po, dalawang gintong singsing, dalawang helmet, at iba pa po.
Her cousin Elias Stephen and his partner Elias Donna also stepped forward to file complaint before the Apulcom. They said police forcibly entered their upstairs room and confiscated their cell phones. The officers also broke into their uncle's padlock room.
Pinatawag po nila ako para kausapin sa baba. Tapos doon na po, pagbaba ko po, binatok-batukan po ako, tinulak. Tapos pinagbantaan po na bubugbugin daw po ako sa loob ng kwarto. Tapos ikukulong din daw po kasi yung pakay nila na hindi ko po malaman kung ano, hindi po nila nakuha.
Tataka po ako, bakit po nakatakip yung mukha nila? Balot na balot po sila ng ano. Tinitignan pa po ako ng dalawa. Opo, tinitignan po nila ako kasi yung suot ko po noon, naka-short po talaga ako na maikli. Tapos naka-t-shirt po ako. Hindi naman po sa ano maputi po kasi talaga ako.
Complaints for robbery and ban and kidnapping have been filed against the 14 police officers, while an additional rape case was filed against the team leader. 8 of the policemen were arrested on Sunday, but the chief of the Bacoor City Police said the apprehension at Camp Vicente Lim in Laguna became tense.
So anytime nga pwede kaming i-hostage sa loob. Pero yung mga tao ko sir, talagang naka-ready po sa labas ng office. Hindi rin mapakali. So buti na lang at nakumbinsi ko po sila na ilapag na po lahat ng baril sa table. So it's a good thing sir na sumunod kaagad yung majority, although may 3 of them na parang hesitant talaga sir.
NAPOLCOM assured that the administrative case against the 14 officers will be resolved within 60 days.
Harap-harapan ko na sinasabi, walang puwang ang panggagahasa, walang puwang ang pagnanakaw sa loob ng Philippine National Police. Tatapusin natin ang maliligayang araw nitong si Police Lieutenant, tapos na ang maliligayang araw mo. Sa lahat ng kasama nila, sasampulan namin kayo.
6 other implicated officers remain at large. Dennis Dato, ABS-CBN News.
Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro begins serving his 27-year sentence for a coup plot against his successor. The Supreme Court formally concluded the case against Bolsonaro Tuesday, making his conviction final. Bolsonaro has been convicted of plotting a coup when he lost the 2022 presidential election to current President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Bolsonaro has also been barred from seeking public office, although he insists he will run for the presidency again. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says President Donald Trump could announce his pick for a new Federal Reserve chairman before Christmas. Fed Chair Jerome Powell's leadership term expires in May. Bessent has narrowed the search for a successor to 5. The remaining candidates include White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett, former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh, current governors Christopher Waller and Michelle Baumann, and Rick Rader, BlackRock's chief investment officer for global fixed income. And now for a check on the local financial market. The Philippine Stock Exchange seeing more losses. Its main index down 0.2% at noontime Wednesday, taking with it the broader all shares index. Total value, meanwhile, is up at 8.1 billion pesos. The PSE's closing numbers and the analysis later on Market Edge at 3. A Philippine mall chain partnering with an online employment platform to help enterprises thrive in the age of AI. Jackie Pascual reports.
Small business owners gathered at a mall in Pasay for the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Summit. Organizers Job Street by Seek and SM Supermall said among the topics discussed at the event are ways for startups to become resilient and to adapt to changes. They said entrepreneurs need to improve their business processes and learn to adopt new technologies such as AI or artificial intelligence to survive.
With certain new technologies like AI and like that, we really need to make sure that our MSMEs are updated, particularly with those types of business practices, because it is the only way, the only way to survive sometimes is to evolve.
The threat of AI is there, so we want to make sure that we talk to them about what it means to manage AI so that you can leverage on AI to grow your business.
The Philippine Trade Department also highlights the importance of deploying new technologies for MSMEs.
Accelerating the adoption of AI to help businesses optimize operations and elevate product quality.
With Christmas approaching, the summit is a welcome learning opportunity for MSMEs. Business owners say these kinds of gathering will help them take advantage of the holiday season and better serve their customers.
You can really see the increase in foot traffic, and basically that everybody is stocking up, making sure that they have the merchandise to sell.
Para alam nila kung ano yung mga latest trends, alam nila kung ano yung mga kailangan nilang matutunan para mas lumago yung negosyo nila.
The summit aims to upscale MSME owners and employees on the new trends in business to support further one of the biggest sectors in the country. Jackie Pascual, ABS-CBN News.